Hello again, welcome back. Today I'm covering LEVI, a glass cannon trooper with the ability to shoot through walls using her thermal vision, which also allows her to uncover invisible enemies. Firstly, let's go over her abilities. Her first ability is thermal vision, and this is her main activatable ability. When activated, it allows you to shoot through walls for a period of time, starting from 5.5 seconds at level 1 up to 9 seconds at level 18. It also slows heroes around her by up to 70%, allowing them to effectively be sitting ducks for you to kill. Somehow this isn't it. She also gets plus 10 points of piercing power, and upon killing an enemy, her skill regains a charge whilst in this state. A team healing is standard, however I'll cover it as it may be relevant for later heroes as well. This is far more balanced than the previous ability. It slows you down by 50% upon activation of the ability, and restores 72 health per second for 9 seconds within a range of 400. This also comes with a reduction to incoming damage for 9 seconds by 40%. On its own it's not crazy, however combining it with another Androns may allow for a full reset after a tough fight. The last two might arguably be considered a war crime. Her Huntress ability, which is a passive ability, increases the weapon's aimed fire range by up to 25%, reduces wounded enemies' fire rate by up to 40%, and increases the weapon piercing power by up to 8 for 3 seconds upon hitting a single enemy. Not just this though, there are more passive bonuses including up to a 150 point increase to the hero's vision range and up to 25% more to the hero's max health and weapon damage. Finally, her stun ability, the most destructive passive ability. Upon killing an enemy, enemies within a range of up to 400 are stunned and have their vision range reduced by 99%, as well as a passive bonus which reduces the weapon's aiming time for the hero and abilities within a range of up to 400, meaning that if you wanted to commit to a hard team fight, focusing on squishy and high damage heroes and letting your team clean up the rest is the best way to play it. Some advantages in playing her are that she has high vision range and aimed vision range, which can further be improved with the gears spoken about later. She has high damage output, being able to kill most enemies in a couple of shots and take most tanks down within half of her magazine. Recent balance changes also allow her to do more damage even against shield heroes with an active shield. However, she does have disadvantages. Her main ones being that she's slow to rotate when it comes to attacking enemies, so moving is kind of out of the question once you start a team fight. She can't shoot through some thick objects, though it seems to be quite random. She can be killed easily if she's caught out, especially by tanks and other shield heroes. She struggles to escape due to her slow speed, and she has a long reload time at about 3.2 seconds. There are 3 main builds that you can use for LEVI, however I must warn you that you'll struggle a lot more without a good team if you play the first two, at 10,000 trophies or more. But, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, these are the builds I would recommend. For a build that is high damage and long range, something that will destroy any enemy in your way, and something that works really well in a team situation, you should use the following. Combat Headband for an increase in the hero's fire range. Bionode Ha for the piercing power and armor penetration. This is the most important gear in any successful LEVI build. Spiked Shoulders for the weapon armor penetration. Bionode Leg to reduce your aiming time and weapon spread, as well as the Bionic Y2 gear buff, which increases the armor penetration that you get in your build by 2. Thug Knuckles for the weapon damage against enemy health, and the Gas Grenade for the further armor penetration. Using this build requires that you pick up a scope in-game. However, if you want to build that requires less setup during the match, the next one will suit you better. There is some room for personalization for this, so I will present the main build with some changes. Build 1 has the Combat Headband and the Bionode Heart just like the Glass Cannon build. After that, there's Bionode Arm with a decrease in LEVI's reload time and to speed up how long it takes for her to pick things up. Her Runner's Boots to increase her walking speed, the Thug Knuckles again, and finally the Echo Radar to increase your vision range, hopefully making it easier for you to see someone moving behind a wall. Instead of the Combat Headband, you could also use the Protective Glasses to increase your vision range by 35 points, and instead of the Echo Radar, you could also use Exploder. However, start with the previous build mentioned, the original one, And if you feel like something isn't working, I encourage you to change the build to your preferences. This build is for people that have most, if not all, of LEVI's Woodland set, and is ideal at any level of gameplay, but works when you are in 10,000 trophy lobbies on Bravery Road. Something to note is that as a minimum you need to have 4 personal gears for LEVI, and lower levels not so much, but after around 7,000 trophies, it becomes integral to any playstyle. Starting off, we have LEVI's Woodland patch, mainly for its 19 points of aimed fire range. The Bionode Heart again, LEVI's Woodland Whip for its armor penetration and reduction in aiming time, LEVI's Woodland Boots for her weapon fire rate increase and reduction in aim fire spread, LEVI's Woodland Cat Tag for the huge increase in the hero's vision range, and the Gas Grenade. I've seen others use the Thug Knuckle over the Cat Tag, and then the Woodland Radio over the Gas Grenade, which I have personally used and it works well. However, I find the previously mentioned one to work the best for me. Once you reach Legendary with LEVI, you can start getting her weapon tunings from coils. These can be found in many places such as ranking high-end contracts and the Syndicate Vault shop. I'll expand on this as well as other things in a later video. For LEVI's personal weapon tunings, I suggest you use the Incline 1 muzzle for its extra point in piercing power, the Cyclone 1 sight for its increase in aimed fire range, also using the Sinter 1 spring for its aimed fire range, and the Obelix 1 grip for its magazine size. One thing to note is that you aren't required to go further than this for these weapon mods, as after the first set of weapon mods, you lose stats in other areas for stats you gain. Finally, some last tips for LEVI are that if you are about to have a team fight, make sure to have something between you and the enemy wherever and whenever you have access to your thermal vision. Otherwise, you can easily get caught out if you aren't careful. Be careful. LEVI has a very low HP even at high levels, sometimes feeling similar to a scout hero like Raven, and can easily be taken out from a distance or by heroes with shields. Focus on weaker heroes, or using your skill, make sure to focus on the high damage or low HP heroes like Twinkle, Alice, Ghost, or even other LEVIs. Any scouts, snipers, or troops should come first, leaving tanks for last. While they take lots of damage, they are much slower than other heroes, so help your team by finishing them fast. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm so happy to see that so many of you are enjoying my recent videos, and I look forward to making more just like this. If you want to see any other content or have any ideas, please let me know in the comments and show your love by subscribing. Good luck and goodbye.